We got to start with late Saturday night if you're on the Pacific Coast, and frankly, 2 a.m. if you're Central Time like me. You watched Arizona upset number 12 UCLA 34-28. I really enjoyed watching this game. A, because I'm still up and there's great football on, and B, because as we're wrapping up the live show from Saturday night, producer Tyler, producer Kat are like, hey, RJ, we got a flag to you. Both Utah and UCLA have decided that they're going to make these into games. Pac-12 after dark stays lit. Now, Utah ends up taking care of Stanford, and really it was not even close by the end. But I'm watching every bit of Jed Fish absolutely getting after it against Chip Kelly and the dudes. And Jaden DeLaura had said, yes, you might be, but I am. So excited about that. That dude was running around for his life, making it happen. They get the upset. Congratulations to the Arizona Wildcats, or the doormat of college football, even worse than Kansas a couple of years ago. They are very well and truly back. But this also means that the Pac-12, once again, is not. Holy smokes. Now, for those of y'all listening on the podcast, we got this brilliant tweet from the Associated Press lead college football writer, Ralph Russo, which reads, how perfectly Pac-12, the week before the conference, has a chance to match 4 top 12 teams, 3 with CFP hopes, in 2 marquee games, to lose as double-digit favorites. Yikes. So we're talking about Oregon, Washington, obviously, and then we're talking about UCLA and Arizona, which leads us to this great understanding that we all have, which is basically in the Pac-12 since 2016, they just don't want to play in the college football playoff because nobody is better at cannibalizing itself than the Pac-12 is, either before the season gets to November or right as we're going into, hey, you got it all in front of you. All you got to do is win. Talk a little bit more about that as we go into the show. Now, in my rankings versus the Associated Press rankings, let's talk about this. Yeah, off the top, I have UNC as the number 9 team in the country, and they have UNC as the number 13 team in the country. Frankly, for me, it's how good Carolina's offense has looked over the past 8 weeks. Drake May has been playing himself into the Heisman Trophy conversation, and now with Oregon suffering a loss to Washington, he probably takes that spot that was once occupied by Bo Nix. He was outstanding once again in a win for them, 2 points over Wake Forest. He had over 500 yards of offense. Josh Downs continues to be his favorite his favorite offensive weapon. And I'm having fun with the Mac Brown experience down there in Tar Heel land. I also think that if I'm comparing, they lost to Notre Dame earlier in the year. Clemson lost to Notre Dame later in the year. Also, who would have thought I've been saying this, but give this some thought. Drake May is a better quarterback than either DJ Uiagalelei or Cade Klubnik. And the last time I looked at this game, you need a great quarterback to win football games. I'm going to take the UNC Tar Heels to beat the Clemson Tigers in the ACC championship because that's going to be the matchup. Another way to take a look at this is I'm actually still okay with UCLA losing to Arizona. A, it's just their second loss of the season. And B, they have outstanding wins against Washington and Utah. Guess who Washington just beat? The presumptive favorite in the Pac-12 championship until yesterday, or race to the Pac-12 championship. And then a Utah team that everybody believes is good. Actually, they believe that they're so good that they rank them at number 10, 6 spots ahead of UCLA. Again, I have this, I don't know, maybe it's weird that I think that if you beat a team, you should be ranked ahead of that team, all things considered. It's another reason why I'm looking at my SC being at number 6 and my LSU being at number 7. And then I'm looking at them having those flip-flop in the AP. I get it. The SEC West is a juggernaut. We get that part. We know that the SEC West has been won by LSU. But 1 loss is still fewer than 2. And I think if you're playing in a Power 5 conference, playing the kind of schedule that USC is playing, you should get rewarded for that 1 fewer loss than anybody else around you. But USC still controls its own destiny, which leads us to a brilliant part of this show. We have to tell y'all, producer Tyler, producer Kat came to me and said, RJ, we have a new word for you. I said, what's that word? You know Clemsoning? I said, yeah, of course I know Clemsoning. I've been around for Clemsoning for like 15 years. We got Oregoning. Holy smokes, y'all. All right, so check this out. Oregoning is losing to a team you shouldn't lose to late in the year, thus eliminating yourself from the college football playoff race. And usually, the Pac-12 championship as well. And we've got some doozies of some examples for you all to follow us along on our journey through Oregoning. All right, so I'm going to actually start with the latest and work backward, okay? So the latest would be not even 24 hours ago, as I'm recording 48 hours as you're listening and or watching the show. They lost to number 25 Washington, 37-34, as the 6th ranked team in the country in November. And this is after we'd spent weeks yelling about whether or not Oregon deserved another chance at Georgia, because they weren't going to get any higher than 4, and it doesn't seem like Georgia's going to fall below 1 in the college football playoff. And Oregon decided, hey, we don't actually want to do this either. We're just going to go lose to Washington at home, a place where we had won 23 consecutive games, to our hated rival with a first-year head coach and a transfer quarterback not unlike us. Yikes. Okay, next on this list, 2021, they lost to number 24 Utah, 38-7. Goodness me, as the number 4 team in the country. That also took place in the month of November, just 8 days from now, right? November 20th. Their last one was November 12th. And I'm really looking at this and I'm going, you know, I also have to add in here that Utah doubled up Oregon in 13 days. So in the same year where you go to the shoe and you beat the eventual Rose Bowl champions at the shoe, one of your children of the Ducks leaves a rubber duck on the O block, insult to injury for them, basically knocking Ohio State out of any contention that might be for the college football playoff because they would lose to Michigan later, right? And then you lose to Utah, and then you lose to Utah again. And then Utah goes and loses to Ohio State in the Rose Bowl to just complete this real embarrassment for the Oregon Ducks. And Mario Cristobal says, you know what? I've had enough of this. I'm going back home. I'm going to Miami. Goodness me. Okay, next on this list, we got to skip past 2020 to 2019. They lost to Arizona State 31-28 as the 6th ranked team in the country. Unranked Arizona State, who just 3 years after this, would fire their head coach after losing to Eastern Michigan. And they lost this game in a way which I thought was really unconscionable at the time, but that's also peak Oregon. Okay, 2018, they lost to, you guessed it, number 25 Washington State, 34-20 as the 12th ranked team in the country. This came in October, so they got this over with a little bit earlier than they normally do. But you get it. This is Oregoning. This is what Oregon does. And frankly, because Oregon is usually the Pac-12's best chance to get to the college football playoff and or the national championship since Pete Carroll left USC, they're taking the Pac-12 down with them. And now we're going into this week where it was supposed to always be about the Pac-12. They'd even move USC, UCLA up a week ahead of Thanksgiving to try to give it some air to breathe should Chip Kelly and Lincoln Riley get that thing rolling. And it was right up until UCLA did not keep up their end. And now it's poised for UCLA to finish off its conference by beating USC, because that would eliminate the Pac-12 from consideration. But also, there's no Travis Dye for USC in this game. Now, for those of y'all that did not stay up watching USC play Colorado because, well, it ain't your day job and it's mine, I'm going to fill you in. Yeah, they won 55-17, but they lost Travis Dye, and in losing Travis Dye, you're stuck with Austin Jones and Raleek Brown. Now, Raleek Brown is going to be an outstanding dude when he matures, but Austin Jones is transferring in from Stanford, and he just frankly ain't the dude that Travis Dye had been. As a matter of fact, I believe that Travis Dye is the most consistent offensive player for USC, not named Caleb Williams, and everything that Lincoln Riley wants to do offensively is predicated on being able to run the ball well. And Travis Dye had done that, and he'd been able to hold on to the rock, because Oregon fans would be like, oh, all of a sudden he's got ball security now? Because he didn't have that at Oregon. Had 143 carries for 885 yards. He was looking like he was just going to run right through Colorado and over Colorado. And this is also at a time when Alex Grinch's defense only does really one thing well. I take that back. That's unfair. They do two things well. Tackles for loss, right? They have the sack leader in the country, and takeaways. But outside of that, they're going to give up 500 yards of offense to Cal, basically, right? They're going to give up 500 yards of offense to teams that they shouldn't. They're going to give up points to teams that they shouldn't. Now they're facing a UCLA that would like nothing more than to sully their good name by winning the city championship and also really ruin the Pac-12 forever and ever amen. It's going to be so much fun to watch. But if you're a Pac-12 fan, I feel bad for you. But seeing as y'all are kind of like everybody else's fans, it's like y'all don't want nobody to succeed. If y'all succeed, I don't think you're taking it that bad. And, you're going, can we get to a 12-team playoff? Because, well, Larry Scott was smart enough to put us into a 14 playoff with 5 power conferences. But I digress. Now, from the Pac-12 conference, where USC and UCLA are currently playing, to their conference where they will be playing in years to come, the Big Ten. Yeah. Looking at this yesterday. Check this out. Minnesota Northwestern played a football game in Minneapolis, Huntington Bank Stadium. I've had the privilege of going down there. It was 29 degrees and drizzling. Now, change Northwestern to USC or UCLA. Here for this. I cannot wait for USC fans, because I think the football players are going to be just fine. Coach is going to be just fine. But for USC fans to go up to Camp Randall in November, to go up to Ann Arbor in November, I cannot wait for them to say, hey, it's too cold for all this. Yeah, this is what it means to play big boy football. Okay? Now, also big boy football means the Big Ten West is a mess. Like, for those of y'all that can't see the graphic, I'm just going to really sum it up for you very quickly. Everybody's 4-3, or so it seems, right? Nobody wants to win the Big Ten West. I picked Minnesota. Now they feel like they're in a position. Quiet as it kept, my man Mo Ibrahim. He had 178 rush yards yesterday, guys, or Saturday, guys. He's had 18 consecutive 100-yard rushing games. He's the offense. And when he is the offense, Minnesota can win. Now, Big Ten Network has this tweet, reading out loud, no team controls its destiny. Should be a fun final 2 weeks in the West. Yeah, it will be. Because at the end of the day, you are playing for a banner. But you're also playing for the right to get beat down by Michigan or Ohio State. It's just the way that it is. I don't feel good about saying it because I honestly believe that Ohio State and Michigan should be playing for the Big Ten championship proper. But because the Big Ten insists on keeping divisions, here we are waiting on Iowa, Purdue, Illinois, or Minnesota to take control of the Big Ten West only so they can get stomped on by Ohio State and Michigan. I don't feel good saying that. I really don't. I would love to see Ohio State and Michigan have to play twice in 1 year. Get on that Big Ten conference, all right? Thank you for watching the #1 college football show. Please remember to subscribe to the channel and like this video so that you don't miss any of the best college football coverage in America.